Better Than Broadway is back with Season 2, Episode 9. I am Coach Chef and our new co-host. So nice we had to have him on twice, Mr. Dwayne Green.
Twice in
Welcome,
2 weeks.
everyone. It's so good to have you all back. Chef, how you doing today, buddy?
All I gotta say, what is up with LA Knight? Like, I got SmackDown on my TV right now, and he's getting shushed off by the New Day, which is even better. Like, why is LA Knight on my TV?
Listen, all I'm saying is give LA Knight a chance. Yeah.
Nah. uh, yeah.
It's crazy because LA Knight was a lot of fun in NXT, and the former Eli Drake in Impact Wrestling was a Impact Wrestling champion. So it's crazy to see how this guy is being used now. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know where all this is going, but at the same time, I'm just glad that he's not doing the maximum male models thing anymore.
Ooh, yeah,
was that his gimmick before?
It was Max Dupree, and now
gosh.
and now they've brought in someone from NXT. I do not remember her name in NXT, but now she's Maxine Dupree.
Yep.
So they and now the maximum male models are going after Otis on Raw. So I don't really know where that's going.
Yeah, I've seen that line.
But it's dreadful, and there's so many
bad
things
it's good.
that you could do. There's so many things that you could do with that story, but it's just.
But no, I think Dwayne has a great point there. It's so bad, it's good. It's like the 80s and 90s semi-horror movies that are like, a movie called like Street Trash. We're like, who the fuck made this movie? But it's like you just can't look away because it's a train wreck, and it's just so bad it's good.
Well, I mean, they're doing the whole thing with Otis again, doing the whole cute fat guy gimmick, and I guess the really attractive woman is going after this guy who's quote unquote not in her league, so per se, or out of her norm, and everybody's just looking like, oh, what the heck's going on? So I liked his more serious gimmick, but if they're able to fuse the two with like him being
well Mandy's gone, so it's
yeah he needs a new love interest, or I mean they could do something. They have hit something with him and Gable, so
I like the Otis and Gable just duo, and I feel like they've been jobbing too much,
way too much, yes.
And because it's like there needs to be angles of like they're like, oh, we outsmarted you in the ring, and that's why we won, and use something that is intelligent, like get a lot of countouts, like throw somebody in the locker room, then run back to the ring and get the count out. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Well, they were doing that for a while because they were doing the whole thing where Gable is Mr. 4.0, and he's got a master's degree and he's smarter than everybody else, and he was using his book smarts and his ring psychology to beat you. But you got to understand something. Chad Gable is a bronze medalist in the Olympics.
Yeah, yes, he's no joke.
He's no joke. He's the real deal, and he's absolutely a badass.
So are you saying that Chad Gable is like Diet Kurt Angle?
It's hard. I wouldn't want to call him Diet Kurt Angle.
That's but he's really smaller.
Fair. Yeah, but at the same time, the work ethic and the skill set is there. But the thing that I think that Gable is missing that Kurt had, you guys remember when Kurt Angle was in TNA, in Impact Wrestling?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he was just a fucking monster. He was he was so elite, and he was just crushing people, and he was doing crazy things like dives off of the cages and doing flips off the stage and having hardcore matches and doing all kind of crazy spots. I mean, yeah, he was loaded up on somas back then, but that's a different story for a different time. Even Kurt
Let's
acknowledges
just throw
that.
that under the rug. You know, it's fine.
Even Kurt acknowledges that, but it's just at the same time, he was on such a level that you couldn't stop him. He was just monstrous. And I don't think they would ever give Gable that type of gimmick, but if they did, it would be like a pit bull unleashed on a slab of meat. And you could make him United States champion no problem because he has the skill set. He's obviously fabulous on the mic. He's got great charisma. He's a technician. It's like you put all the best from Kurt Angle, from Bret Hart, from Benoit, from all these other great wrestlers, Roddy Piper with the gift of gab. I mean, he is a complete wrestler, but he'll never get his flowers because he's this big.
You know what he needs? He needs since we're on TNA. Hopefully everybody remembers this. He needs his Eric Young moment, and by that I mean,
man.
You remember when he just literally came out. He just flipped the script. Yeah. World Elite, shaved head in a suit, and he had that menacing character. And he went from goofy cornball in Team Canada to a true like, oh, this guy's serious. We have to take him serious. He needs his Eric Young moment. And if Gable ever gets that, like he's gonna be in the mix for sure. Like definitely a top IC US title contender, but even I'd say for the top championships, if they ever split them up, for sure he would be up there.
And this is what needs to happen, I think. And because right now Chad Gable and like Kurt Angle have something that not a lot of the other guys have, is that Olympic wrestling background to where he could go in there and just because he's small, like have him go in there and just every match puts together a combination of actual wrestling moves that the other guys just can't get away from. He's just on them because that's what wrestling is like you got back mount position or you're trying to get this or that or whatever, and then like just kind of like in Chris Benoit, he would have the multiple suplexes, just like suplex, go into something else, and the guys just can't get away. And every match is something a little bit different. And that's how you change it up and get his creative mind going and set him apart of like that could be his gimmick.
Yeah. And 5'8" is not a super small guy, but
I'm 5'10".
I know, I'm 5'10". And in the pro wrestling world, it's like for some reason, if you're not 6 feet tall, you're not getting it unless you're a Rey Mysterio, an Eddie Guerrero, or someone along those lines. But personally, what I would like to see happen with Gable is ship him over to SmackDown after the draft, after WrestleMania when they do the draft, and have him challenge Gunther for the Intercontinental title and just let those two have a battle and let Gable dethrone Gunther. Because why not? Because it's a David and Goliath story. It's a tale as old as time. To quote Beauty and the Beast. But you're going to get an opportunity to showcase not only Gable, who's one of the best wrestlers in the WWE, but also Gunther, who is a monster.
Yeah.
And he's so damn good. And I think he's gotten even better since he's lost 50 pounds.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And I love because I was on SmackDown and there was the 6-man tag team match that opened it up, and like the Imperium entrance of just all white with Imperium across, and you see their 3 silhouettes. That is iconic.
They look like super villains.
Yeah, they look like super villains, and I love that. And then they're like, I mean, obviously, like they're Nazis. Let's be straight, but they look like super villains, But like they go out there and just in unison. And just, and it's just
the music
cool.
Makes it perfect too.
Yep, it's not hype music; it's visual.
They look like just Marvel supervillains every time they walk out, and it's the best thing ever. And it's like, yes, we know the symbolism, but it's like, dang, this is just cool. And I'm glad that they brought up Giovanni Vinci, because him in NXT was just, it was a waste. Like
it was a waste. It was a waste. And I really think they should have brought all those guys up together because it just makes more sense. But everybody's like, oh, Giovanni Vinci, he could have been, a megastar on his own. I mean, and I agree, but when you put three people together that have been together for a good long while, it makes more sense. Hell, Marcel Bartel, who is the mouthpiece of Imperium,
Mm-hmm.
the guy with the hair,
Right.
he's
Oh, that
actually
guy.
he's actually a second generation superstar. His father, Axel Dieter, was one of the guys that started the German pro wrestling movement. He's one of the guys that helped build WXW and things like that. And at one point, Bartel was known as Axel Dieter Jr. And when he came
That's
to the
cool.
United States, they said, well, we want to try to separate you from your dad a little bit, so we're going to give you a new name. And somehow
It's
Marcel
cool.
Bartel kind of worked out. I can't exactly remember what Giovanni Vinci's name was before. It was
Fabian Feichner, I think.
was it Fabian Eichner? Was that it?
Yeah, Fabian Eichner. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So you've taken an Italian wrestler, a German wrestler, and an Austrian wrestler, and you've made a stable, a European stable, which by my count is way superior to that League of Nations that we had a couple of years ago with Rusev and
Yes.
Sheamus and Barrett and who else? It
Yeah.
was
Del
Del Rio.
Rio.
Yeah, God, this stable runs that shit.
And
It,
that's the crazy part. You had a stable full of former world champions, and I think one who was going to be a future world champion, and it didn't work. They were just feeder for Reigns at the time and whoever else and legends at WrestleMania. But it's like now you have people who were just yeah. Anyway, just different era, different time.
different time, different time. We could run a whole show on talking about stables, but
Oh heck yeah.
we've got
Hang on. Let's take 5 minutes.
Okay.
What are the top 5 biggest stables of all time?
I mean,
And in no particular order, because let's just say the top 5, and then we can order them later.
I'm going to defer to Dwayne because our new co-host deserves some flowers. So, buddy, I think go for it.
Top 5 stables. Jeez. Man, that's really hard. I'll probably do like a in no particular order. I would say DX is one of them. The Horsemen, of course. Would you consider the Freebirds a stable?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, did more than 2, did more than a tag team.
All right. Von Erichs. Yeah, definitely Von Erichs. And then number 5. I'm not sure about number 5.
What about NWO?
Yeah.
I was about to say, yeah, NWO for sure. It was either going to be them or the BWO, but I think NWO.
The blue world order, baby.
But
Who doesn't love the blue meanie? God, he's so good.
No.
yeah. Those are like in no particular order whatsoever. It's just you got to go with them.
I mean, for me, if you're talking dynastic stables here, I mean, you've got to start with the NWO and DX. I mean, those two are interchangeable. The Four Horsemen. I mean, you're looking at you're looking at the New Day. You're looking at the Bloodline. You're looking at the Bullet Club. You're looking at Chaos.
Yeah, but the Bullet Club was a stable outside of wrestling. Like were they or I could be wrong, but were they on camera? The Bullet Club
In Japan, yes.
Yeah.
Here, no, but
No.
they branched out and got super hype and cool, and now they're in Hot Topic. So
Yeah, that's one of the things is that the Nick and Matt Jackson, the Young Bucks, when they were in the Bullet Club, because they live in California, and I think Hot Topic is based out of California, they were able to get all of that merchandise into Topic. So, I mean, kudos to them because those guys, although they were only in Bullet Club a short time, they were able to help transcend the business and get Bullet Club on the map in a lot of ways. So you got to give those guys their flowers.
Oh yeah, they're smart. They're very smart.
Very smart businessmen, no doubt. But yeah, I would think the NWO and DX probably you're 1 and 2, if not 2 and 1. The Four Horsemen because it's an iconic stable. The New Day because they've just been amazing. The Bloodline's been dominant, even though they've only been around for a short time. It's hard to argue against the Shield, even though there was only 3 members, but all of them have been world champions. And That is such a good question, Chef, because there's so many ways you could go with this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I like I like for sure the fact that the NWO and DX are still talked about to this day, and it's been 25, 20, almost 30
Yeah.
years
Yeah,
since
yeah.
both of those stables hit the business. So, what do you think? I mean, I know you said NWO, but what else?
NWO and DX, like I grew up, like that was when I was in my wrestling prime as a kid of watching the WWE F and, WCW wars with NWO and DX like going up to the WCW arena like with their like little mini tank and like harassing them. Like
Oh,
that's iconic.
that wasn't no mini tank. That was a full blown tank, man. That was a shirt, my guy.
But like that's
Tank.
you don't see that anymore. And so I mean, obviously those two there could be, but and when the NWO formed was so like jaw dropping. Also what's like, but I remember when Shawn Michaels and Hunter Hearst Helmsley before he was Triple H, like everyone like, who are these two yahoos teaming up? Whatever. And then they were like, oh no, like we are BFFs. Like this is great. And they still are. But for other three, I mean, I think the New Day definitely because they've been around for what 10 years,
15.
Yeah.
15.
It's wow.
No, not 15. You're right, 10.
But a long time, like not just a 1 year stable. Because the bloodline's clearly is fractured.
Yeah.
And you have the Bullet Club, which is shifts, I'd say, depending on what you're looking at, but they exist in all avenues of wrestling, which is pretty iconic, I would say. I mean, that's arguable. What about Evolution? Like all those guys have been world champions. Ric Flair, Triple H, Batista, Randy Orton.
And those guys are coming up on their 20th anniversary like a week or two.
They better get it in before Ric Flair dies.
Speaking of which, happy 74th birthday to the Nature Boy.
Ooh.
Wow.
74 today.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, all right. February 25th, Ric Flair birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Let me put that in my phone.
As you should.
But yeah, I don't know. It's I think that's probably my list, but
yeah, solid list.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah.
It is interesting that two of the biggest stables in the world of wrestling began in Japan, the NWO and Bullet Club. So
yeah.
What are the NWO's roots in Japan?
Masahiro Chono.
Hmm.
Speaking of which, that's a great segue into our next point. On Tuesday, 21st, the Great Muta, Keiji Muto, wrestled his final match ever in his career, his almost 40-year career.
At the age of 60.
This was at the age of 60. This was the Great Muta's final battle, final bye-bye. And he wrestled New Japan's Tetsuya Naito, former Intercontinental Champion, former IWGP World Champion, Tag Champion, Triple Crown Champion, and leader of Los Ingobernables de Japón. This guy Naito is one of the great young talents. Well, I guess maybe middle-aged talents at this point. He's in his 30s, but battling Muta after his farewell tour. Muta had a hell of a tour. He got to wrestle Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom, and he got to wrestle with Sting and Darby Allin. He got to wrestle with Tanahashi and Shota Shota Umino.
Nice.
And his final match was with Pro Wrestling Noah. New Japan said, Naito, you go. He wants to wrestle you, so you go. So he does his last show with Noah, which was one of his home federations in Japan. They work a great match, all the hits. He hits the Emerald Flosion. He hit all of his, special moves. Did it all with an injury. Had a partially torn quad So
Ooh.
the fact he was able to hit a lot of his moves was pretty great. And what was excellent is after Naito pinned him, they did the bows, did the hugs. Muta comes back and says, "I want one more match." And three guys that were on the panel doing color commentary, Hiroshi Tanahashi, who is one of the perennial IWGP champions, and Kevin Kelly for the United States, and Masahiro Chono. And the interesting fact about that is that Masahiro Chono, who was an NWO member, NWO Japan, et cetera, he was one of the original members. He debuted October 5th, 1984. Muta debuted October 5th, 1984. They were each other's first in-ring opponents. Chono got injured a couple of years ago and never got to have his retirement match. So Muta says the show's over, everything's over, and it was just very spur of the moment. He calls Chono in the ring. Chono's in street clothes, mind you. I mean, he's in jeans and a t-shirt. And he calls him in and he says, "We need to have one last match. You didn't get to have your retirement match. So I want you to come in here and I want you to work with me one last time." And they called in retired IWGP referee Tiger Hattori, who's one of the greatest, who's one of the greatest referees of all time. He's been reffing for 50 years probably. And he comes in and they have a short little match. Chono defeats Muto with the STF submission. And I mean, it was over within a couple of minutes. So both of these guys got to have their final match against each other the way it started 39 years ago. And it was such a sweet moment. And this is why you watch wrestling, is because you get these moments where you've got reality and they make you feel a certain way. We can talk about kayfabe, and we can talk about things being scripted and fake or whatever the hell you want to call it. There ain't nothing like taking a bump in the ring, somebody launching you and you falling flat on your back. Shit hurts. But everybody that says, "Oh, wrestling's fake," I want to take them down to Griffin to meet Nick Patrick and let him take a bump in that ring and let him run the ropes, which are cables covered in electrical tape. Every time you put your arm over that rope and
digs into your arm,
digs into your armpit. Oh God, it hurts like hell. Hurts so bad.
And plus, like him doing all that with a partially torn quad.
I know, man.
I mean, I did CrossFit on Monday, and I'm still sore. And I went and got Mexican food on Wednesday, and my triceps were so sore I couldn't bring the chip to my mouth. I had to lean into it. I'm like, oh God, I gotta eat it, and I'm just like, just so sore. I'm like, I'm trying to brush my own teeth, and I gotta support one arm with the other arm. It was
That's so funny. Dwayne, how do you feel about the multiple time All Japan GHC IWGP champion, the Great Muta? What are your thoughts on Muta?
Well, he's one of my favorite wrestlers just of all time. Just the Shining Wizard, the crazy elbow, all of it, just, and especially just the mask, the different personas. It's I'm glad he got to go out the way he wanted to and the way he did. Hell of a career, and yeah, I mean the man's a legend. Is there any way that he might be able to go into the WWE Hall of Fame? Did he have any like roots in WWE? Or
I'm sure they would put him in just to put him in because Jushin Thunder Liger is in the WWE Hall of Fame, and I'm not 100% sure he did more than one match with them. But
and that was only with Tyler Breeze, so
yeah. But I mean, he's a legend. So I mean, it's like why wouldn't you have him go into the Hall of Fame?
Sure.
So
I mean, isn't Sting in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
And he didn't go to WWE until
never wrestled one match in WWE under the Sting. He did he may have done like a jobber as with the Blade Runners with Heath Warrior before Warrior became Warrior and Sting became Sting.
But I mean that's awesome. Of like, hey, we're WWE. We're not just only for us, but we're like the sport of wrestling in general. I respect that, and that's cool. And WWE, like I wrestled for 6 years when I was in high school and middle school, and come on, like I want to get in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Um,
And I think it
Well,
would be perfect if he was. Okay.
You can thank Triple H for that because he's the one that was the influence for all of the
I'm sure.
all of the guys getting into the
With it being in LA though, I think it would be perfect if he went in it just this year because it's not as far of a flight. I guess they're going to be in Philadelphia next year, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
Philly, so yeah, it's in LA, a couple hours flight, flying man. He could go see the show, meet everybody, and then go on home and be a regular old man like he wants.
Yeah.
Don't be an old nobody be an old man. Dwayne, don't be an old man. Rob, don't be an old man. Like just because you're done doesn't mean you're I know, I'm just saying, like proverbially, like my dad died of Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's came in and took him over when he stopped working. When he like retired, it's when everything got so much worse. And so you have to have that. Thank you. You have to have that mental floss of keeping your body and your brain going. Just because you're not performing doesn't mean you're not actively doing stuff. And that's why, it's like Sting, dude, man's like 62, 64. Who knows? But like, just have fun and keep your juices going. And, you live longer. And it's don't just go back. I'm going to my shed. See you when I, at the funeral. Don't be an old man. You're only old if you think you're old. And so sorry to get personal, but
you're good. You're good. I'm just saying what he said. I understand what he meant. He's like, I think I've been doing this for so long. I'm like, yeah, I just want to be normal for a little bit.
Right.
And I get it. I mean,
you don't have to take any bumps anymore, just
right.
Like or show up and chair shot somebody and be behind the scenes creative. Like, who knows?
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna tell you right now. I quit taking bumps. Shit, 8-9 years ago. I've probably been in a ring 3 times in the last 6 years, and I got to tell you, I don't miss getting launched off the top rope and hitting the mat with my whole body and feeling the teeth loosening in my face.
Wait, Rob, are you just now telling me that you used to be a pro wrestler?
So how do you not know this?
I don't. Why don't I know this? Why haven't we done a whole podcast on this?
Because it's not that big a deal. So when my buddy Blake wanted to be a wrestler, we would go out to Griffin, Georgia, and we would work with Nick Patrick and Jody Hamilton, the assassin. Rest in peace, Jody. You were a lovely man. And Nick would get in the ring. Nick Patrick was the NWO referee. Speaking of NWO, he was the NWO referee. They own a home in South Atlanta. And Blake wanted to wrestle. So I said, okay, well, we'll go down and see, Nick. And he's like, well, all right. So I jump in the ring with him, and I already had a little bit of training. So we would work 3 or 4 matches a session in about 5-6 minute matches, just short matches. And I was trained Mexican luchador striker style, so I had elbows, and basically I love Japanese wrestling and I love lucha libre. So those are the styles that I liked. So I learned elbow strikes, kicks, things like that, and I also learned jumping off the ropes and shit like that. And I'm a big Randy Savage fan, so one of my finishers was a springboard elbow. And I caught Beretta in the chest with one, and just bam. And as soon as we got up from the pinfall, he goes, it was like a pillow just landed on my chest. I got him so just gentle. And we worked through spots with him, and I mean he had some success. He went on to do it. I just didn't feel like it was for me. I was trying to get back into weightlifting. But I went and worked with him, and then he met Marvelous Marco and a couple of other guys. So he trained with them, and he became one of the like Southern wrestling tag team champions with this guy Marco, who we could totally have on the show. I'll ask him if he wants to come on. So yeah, but that was like the extent of it. You go to Ring of Honor and you do whatever they want you to do, and
Yep.
didn't get in the ring for them. Wasn't a contract talent for them. But I definitely just kind of did what they needed to do. Put the ring together, ring the bell. Take care of the talent, take care of Piper, whoever. But and that was my little foray into wrestling. And if you've got a ring that's not a WWE ring, WWE rings are great because they have a little more padding underneath on top of the plywood and on top of the 2x4s. But God damn it, when you when you get launched, when a human being launches you over their head and you land flat on your back, your teeth rattle. Even when you tuck your chin, your head still gently hits the mat on the way down, and you just feel the teeth rattle. You feel it in your bones. I mean, these guys, I mean, all the props in the world, all the flowers in the world of pro wrestlers, especially these guys that work for 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Jericho, the Triple H's, the Flairs, I mean, goddamn, the Keiji Muto. It's amazing to me that these guys were able to work at such a high rate for so long with minimal injuries.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Because a lot of people, I mean, people draws. That guy was in there for a minute, and I mean, is he still paraplegic?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, shit happens. I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin took a pile driver from Owen Hart and broke his neck and almost never wrestled again.
Yep.
It's incredible. And he had the damn main event at WrestleMania last year at 55 years old. Like, goddamn, like, so it's very interesting to see a lot of these guys finally starting to wind down their careers. Just based on 40 years. Muta was in wrestling for almost 40 years, bump after bump, night after night. God almighty, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I ain't that tough. I mean, Dwayne.
I'm the crazy guy who would actually wants to experience that like at least a few times.
I'll take you down. I'll take you down to Griffin and I'll bump with you. I don't really want to, but I'll take you down if you want.
Because I'm like, I'll do these judo tournaments and everything, and I'll go to practice. I'll get thrown. It's like, yes, it's a mat, but I know it's not going to compare to plywood, but
yeah, it still hurts.
Exactly.
Yeah. You still get, it's a slam.
Mm-hmm.
Both of you guys are martial arts masters with judo and Ryan with karate and wrestling for that matter. But it's like you get dropped, even if it's on a mat. I mean, you're like, it knocks the wind out.
Knock the wind out of you.
Knock the wind
out
out
of you. Guy who just smile. I get dropped. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. That's how it feels. All right, let's go again.
Yeah. And let me tell you another thing. I mean, I don't mean to get personal, but I have hair on my chest like the rest of us do. But when you take a chop to the chest, if you get hit flat and hard, it burns.
I believe it.
It burns, and you get and the ring is canvas. When you fall on the canvas and you slide off, that's canvas, man. That shit, you get rug burns on that, especially like on your elbows and on your shoulders. So I mean, like all these things, it's just like all these little things that just suck. It's just like, why do I want to do this? Like
right?
Why? I'd rather sit here and talk about it with you guys than actually do it. Fuck.
Yeah, I know. I know. I gotta screw loose because I need to at least try it at least a few times. So I'm
gonna
not
take you
expecting
down.
to go into WWE or even like on TV. Period. That'd be cool. That'd be super dope.
I'm gonna
But
take you to meet Nick.
all right. I mean, I know. There's like I keep on wanting to go up to this place in Canton. What Southern Honor Wrestling.
Yeah,
I keep on wanting to go there and just experience it because it's I think it's like 15 minutes away from my house or something like that. 10, 15 minutes away.
probably.
So it's like,
It'd be fun.
why not?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Well, guys, we had a pay-per-view last night with Impact Wrestling. We had a really really good one. It was No Surrender, and the big highlights of that are they're still building Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer. That's going to probably come to a head. Slammiversary or Bound for Glory. It's just going to be a long, drawn out story. That ought to be good. Mickie James continues to win. She defeated Masha Slamovich last night, the woman with the greatest wrestling name of all time.
Slamovich, nice.
Masha Slamovich licked Mickie James's face, and Mickie turned around and bit her tongue.
That's pretty good.
And then finish her off, and then in a banger of a match, one of the greatest wrestling matches I've seen all year, which is could be a match of the year candidate for me, was Josh Alexander, Rich Swann. WWE, man, they missed a huge opportunity with Rich Swann, my God, and those guys put on classic. I mean, if you get a chance, go back and watch that match. It was dynamite from start to finish, and Josh Alexander retains over Rich Swann. They give each other the flowers after the match, and now Josh Alexander is going to battle Steve Macklin next month at Redemption, I think is what, Rebellion. At Rebellion.
Yep.
They're going to work Rebellion. And interestingly enough, I'm sure you forgot already, but Steve Macklin was one of those guys that was Steve Cutler. He was in the Forgotten Sons with Jackson Riker, whatever his name was.
Yep.
And some other guy. Yeah, there was it Buddy Matthews? Who was the third guy in that group?
It wasn't Buddy Matthews. It was a guy. What was his name?
I'll look this up.
Oh, wasn't it his former tag team partner though?
Yeah, I think so. It was Wesley Blake.
Blake, yes.
It wasn't Buddy Matthews. It was Wesley
Blake and Murphy. Yes.
Yeah, I knew it was one of those guys from that tag team. But yeah, none of those guys are in WWE anymore. They're gone. Wesley Blake's working independence. I think Jackson Riker's still talking about Trump somewhere on the internet, and then he's doing what he's doing. So I mean, some of us stayed in wrestling, some of us went into political career, and some of us just,
shocking. Wrestling can be a longer career.
Became a podcaster,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's really cool though. I mean, even just doing what you did for the short amount of time, just making those connections with wrestlers, and even just making the friendships and the bonds that you make, and just the experience. That's really cool.
Yeah, it all kind of started doing yoga at DDP's house in Smyrna. That's how it all started.
No.
It was just like, hey, this is my buddy Blake. He wants to wrestle, and he's like, damn, bro, you got to go see Nick and Jody. Got to go see Nick and Jody. And it's like, all right. And then, Scott Hall, yeah, you got to go see Nick and Jody. Snake's like, yeah, you got to go see Nick and Jody. So then it's like, all right, where are these guys? Where are they? Oh, they're down South Atlanta. Okay, we'll go see them. So that's kind of how it all started. And Blake wrestled for like a year or two. He did great. He did great. I went to a couple of his matches. Went to the one where he won the tag belts. So, just he had fun with it. It just wasn't as fun for me. And, at the same time, I was, a young father at that point.
Yeah. Other priorities.
My business, Atlanta Performance was starting to build, and it was in the primordial stages of building that. So it was just the timing.
It wasn't your path.
It wasn't my path. Plus, I'm not 6 feet tall and 240 pounds and bodybuilder. So I mean,
neither am I. So I mean, it's okay.
So, well, guys, we got one more little piece of business to talk about. We were going to talk about Sammy and the Bloodline, but we can save that for another time, because next week next week, Ryan is going to be doing karate.
Yeah, but martial arts testing.
He's got martial arts testing.
Ooh.
I'm going to be in Ohio for the Arnold, and we're gonna have a an AEW pay-per-view. Revolution is coming to you
Next Sunday.
Next Sunday. Next
Mm-hmm.
Sunday. So if we do a show, we'll either be Saturday or Sunday when we get back from our respective duties. That's going to be a great show. We've got a 60-minute Iron Man match between MJF and
Daniel Bryan.
Bryan Danielson. That's going to be
Oh, yeah.
incredible. This is the one match where I'm just like, how's it going to even go? Like, how's
Right.
this match going to go? Obviously, Ricky Starks is probably going to beat Jericho, and Action Andretti is probably going to beat Daniel Garcia, and the Acclaim will probably get the tag titles back, so on and so forth. But this one match, it's like, where is this going to go?
Right.
Moxley will probably beat Adam Page again,
And bleed.
And bleed.
Moxley's going to bleed a lot. There's going to be a lot of blood. So, but with this MJF Bryan Danielson storyline, it got real this week on Dynamite because MJF talked about wanting a family and a wife and all these things.
And did him and his girlfriend split, or his fiance split?
He and his fiance split, and it was right after, I think, Full Gear. Maybe it was towards the end of last year, and he's been using a lot of his real life experience to convey emotion with the crowd. And then he got in front of the camera, broke the fourth wall, and spoke to Birdie and Buddy, who are Brian and Brie Bella's children. And it's just like, oh my God, man, like God Almighty, talking about somebody's kids. That's
You don't do that, dude. Like, no one.
That's
like,
brutal.
That is brutal.
Well, way to get swung on.
Going back to politics, like reporters, like you don't talk to the other people's kids. Like you leave them out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
this shit's nuts. We can do a quick preview of that match. Dwayne, how do we feel about MJF and Bryan Danielson in a 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship, or the BBB, as the Triple B, as MJF calls it?
It's going to be a good showing for MJF. Like he needs a match like this because a whole lot of people say that, and I agree. He's one of the best talkers right now in wrestling, but his in-ring work it's okay. It's okay. So he needs a match like this that's going to be like, all right, show us what you got. Just good. All right, just this is why you deserve to be champion, and this is why he might keep the belt, but I want to see Danielson get the belt. I just really do. It's about time. But the thing is, the main thing I do not like with this whole story, MJF continuously just going back and trying to get the sympathy card from the fans. If you're a heel, to me, it's like you're continuously getting the sympathy card, like pull the sympathy. If you don't care about the fans, why would you care about any sympathy from the fans whatsoever? That's just my thought. And why should anybody care about, oh yeah, this is like, this belt's the main reason why I'm not, popping a whole bottle and going away. And it's like, but as a heel, if you don't care about people, why would anybody even care?
Well, we could get a lot of sympathy for him. I think if Danielson wins, because everyone, that's the thing. Like I've said this before, you have to screw with the audience. You have to, pull the rug underneath them. So it's like everyone expects MJF to retain, but it'd be pretty hard, like for Danielson to win, and then like all of a sudden MJF kind of loses this a luster of like, oh shit, he's not the best.
A la John Cena, that one year he was just losing to everybody. Divorce, the worst year of his life, quote unquote. And then to flip it around, and long storytelling for sure.
Yeah,
that's just the only aspect I don't like. Other than that, it's a fantastic story. Early onset CTE, then swinging. Love it.
Now, question, question. I'll direct this one to Chef, and then Dwayne, I'll come back to you.
All right.
Chef, who needs this win more, MJF or Danielson?
I think MJF.
Oh, okay.
Like
Dwayne?
Dwayne said, like MJF, like actually needs to kind of prove himself. Like,
Yeah.
you got the belt, all right. You got to show us why we should keep it.
Agreed. Agreed. Dwayne, MJF needs to win more, huh?
I'd say Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, because MJF, he could still win in the match. You know, just when they say win, he could still win the match, but he doesn't need the belt right now. Like, and just what Ryan said, and it just kind of blew up in my mind. It's like, yeah, he could have hella sympathy after if he loses with everything he just said in
Right.
this promo, and then now people are gonna be like, okay, so how is MJF? Like, what's
Right.
going on? We know that he just lost his girl. Now he's like, this is like his only thing for being. What's gonna happen? And then
All of a sudden, he's coming out with beers like a la Hangman.
Adam Page.
He's having a hard time.
he could change his character after this
He
if he
could.
needed to.
Sure.
Evolve it, not even fully change it, but evolve it.
Yeah.
Go down this dark path of like, oh, get a little disheveled, not bum ass Corbin levels, but go
Dude, is that going to be Corbin's next
show that
gimmick?
little bit of depression, a little bit of a depression on screen.
Hashtag bum ass Corbin. I want
Right.
that to be the next evolution of Corbin Baron Corbin.
Back to bum ass Corbin. I think both of you guys give very good points on this, but I feel like MJF needs this win because all his career he's cheated and he's worked around everybody. It's kind of it's so strange to me how much MJF loves people like CM Punk and Triple H, and MJF's title reign has pretty much been Triple H's title reign, the first one when they were in Evolution.
Yes.
Because he was cheating to win, he needed help. He would do underhanded shit, low blows, and he would get counted out and all this other crap. And he is a good talent, but at the same time, a marquee win against a former champion, clean wins
Yep.
in a match that really helps define superstars of their era, like Shawn Michaels, like Bret Hart, like Danielson, like Roddy Strong, Samoa Joe. A lot of these guys in Japan that wrestle hour-long matches that are one fall matches. Okada and Kenny Omega at Wrestle Kingdom 14, I think it was.
Yes.
They wrestled for an hour. And it's just like, it was like, holy shit. Like you look at what was it? I think it was Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. I think they wrestled a damn near hour-long match when Steamboat finally defeated Ric Flair for the title. So these are marquee moments and marquee matches for some of these workers that need that moment to elevate their status. Now MJF, of course, he can run his mouth and he can work a good match, but to beat somebody like Bryan Danielson, ROH champion, ROH pure champion, WWE champion, world heavyweight champion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, who's been at the top of his game and an elite wrestler his entire career. It's like MJF wins this match and he goes from here to here.
Yep.
Danielson, on the other hand, like you said, he's kind of been floundering a little bit since he's been in AEW. He's worked Moxley, he's worked Jericho,
Hangman.
He's worked a lot of these guys, but at the same time, here's a guy who's kind of on his way out of the business too, because he's like Edge. He ain't got a whole lot of time left, so he needs to make the most of it. Now, does he need to win this title to solidify his legacy? Hell no. Will it help? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, like you guys said, I think like Chef said, I think MJF really needs this one.
Now, I feel that it would be good elevation for him if he submits Brian.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah, but
one.
it's gonna be the number of falls in the match though.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not
no,
gonna be
like the last fall, make it a submission. He's been working the arm the entire 60 minutes, and then some BS. Heck, he could even do his arm bar in a chair,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nice.
something like that. You know, it's
That'd
like
be fun.
some chicanery, and or he'll pass out. You know, but
Yeah.
I feel that if he gets a submission win over Brian, the submission specialist,
Uh-huh.
catapult.
I mean, tie a rocket to him. I
Yeah.
mean, tie a rocket to him.
So
Well,
that,
it's like,
I love that scenario. I love that scenario. I didn't
do
think
we
about
think
that.
it's gonna go into overtime and sudden death?
nah, no AEW probably.
I hate that shit. I hate
Me
that shit.
too, but
I hate
it's a
that shit.
very AEW thing.
I mean, WWE did it with Shawn and Brett, and I just feel like it cheapened the match.
Yeah, but what if they're tied?
Tie goes to the champion. The advantage is to the champion.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're gonna do old school rules.
You've got to beat the man.
I
To
agree.
be the man.
I agree.
So before we go, I want to do this. I wanted to ask you guys this last time. Since we have a top 5 question,
Okay.
I absolutely love music. I love entrance music. What is you guys' top 5 entrance music of all time?
Man, that's the question. God Almighty,
That's a good question.
Fabulous question.
I'm gonna go with Stone Cold Steve Austin, man. Like that breaking of the glass. Like I listened to that when I'd go out to wrestle,
Right.
because it just got me. Yes, and ba like that got my juices going. I knowing enough, I put that as like, you remember back in like the 90s where you could program your computer jingle when it would boot up, because we turned our computers off and on all the time back then. So it was the entire Stone Cold Steve Austin track that would last for like 3 minutes of just back and forth, glass breaking all the time.
That's awesome.
And then if you're just waking up and your volume's at full blast, it wakes you up.
Oh heck yeah!
A song that I listen to in the gym all the time is Downstate's Kingdom. That's Cody Rhodes' theme song. Love that. A song that I will listen to when on competition day for weightlifting was "The Game" by Motorhead, because that guitar riff hits and then the drums hit and then Lemmy comes on with his laugh, and and I fucking love Motorhead. Ace of Spades is the song that I listen to in the gym when I'm going heavy, like a heavy squat, heavy deadlift, whatever. So those two for sure. Who doesn't love the glass shatter of Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme? Kazuchika Okada's track is pretty badass.
Yes.
That's a really good one. Kenny Omega's Love and Glory theme song from Wrestle Kingdom 15 when he fought Tanahashi for the title.
Yeah.
Because it's like an epic anime track. It's like listening to the Demon Slayer theme song.
Yep.
And it just had the piano at the beginning, and then the guitars start riffing hard. So yeah, I mean, the Ultimate Warrior. You run out to the dan 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 dan.
You just have to start running. Just start sprinting. Just wherever you are, golf course.
Yeah. And how do you not get pumped up to Real American by Rick Derringer?
Yeah.
Dwayne, what do you got? Like, I want to hear yours, man.
Oh man, it's always a revolving door for me. But if I have to narrow it down to 5, no, just number 1 for me is because as soon as I heard it, it was just I'm hooked. Voodoo Child, Hollywood Hulk Hogan scene. Just that it was so good.
Yep.
And actually, let me not put these in an order because, like I said, it's a revolving door. So that Voodoo Child, the Disturbed of Glass Shatter.
That's a good
That
one.
is really good.
That's a good
One Chris Jericho theme by Seven Dust on the Forcible Entry album. Really good if you haven't heard that.
Chris Jericho's theme now is still really good.
It is.
But it's also his own song, so
exactly. Batista's theme, Saliva. That's just like one of my favorite bands. So it just hypes me up. And then another one is the short-lived DX Kings of Rock. That's a really short one that a whole lot of people don't remember. And is
that the one that Run DMC did?
Yep, that's it.
That was a good one.
And a nice honorable mention is is Edge. I think as soon as you hear that, you think you know me, and then just yeah, it's
the hard drums and the guitar.
Now the Rob Zombie or the Metalingus.
Metalingus.
I like Metalingus, but for some reason I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan, and I love the Never Gonna Stop.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
That one's so damn good. God damn.
I could talk about entrance themes for like at least 3 hours. So,
well,
and I think that's the great thing about wrestling is that they have entrance themes.
Yes.
I think that's the coolest. I really, really do. And you don't get that a lot. You didn't get that in sports forever, but now baseball's got them. UFC, boxing. I mean, everybody. And it all started. I think it started in the Polynesian Championship Wrestling with High Chief Peter Maivia and his wife Ata. I think it started there, but it may have started in Memphis. I'm not sure. I'll have to do some history on that.
I do also want to pipe in there Dalton Castle's theme song, just because it's like a la Queen, and I love Queen. Yeah.
Yes.
Dalton Castle, that's another guy, man. Like that dude, tie a rocket shit to that guy. Put him somewhere. I don't care where he ends up. Put him in WWE. Put him in Ring of Honor. Put him in AEW. Put him in Impact. Somewhere. That guy, I haven't had that guy on my TV in 6 months, and it's time.
Yeah.
Peacock. Time to bring back the Peacock. God, he's so cool.
Do you think that he would be a good fit in NWA?
Oh, absolutely. I think he would fit anywhere he goes, just because his character is so unique, and he speaks well on the mic. He was an amateur wrestler, and he has the skill set, and he's strong as piss.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he just has a lot of
piss very
great
strong
attributes. I mean, you go drink with me one night, you can find out.
Pure ammonia.
I will. It's a hard pass on me.
straight diesel, my boy.
Okay. We're doing a shot. No, we're not doing this vodka.
Guys, a hell of a show.
That was fun.
Hell of a show tonight. Hell of a show.
Yeah, it was awesome.
We will be back next week with episode 10. We will break down. We'll either do a watch along with Revolution, or we'll break it down, or we'll do a preview. We'll do something. It's going to be a good time, I promise. Episode 9. Dwayne, thank you so much for joining us and becoming one of our new co-hosts. We're happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me back.
Anytime.
Happy birthday to the Nature Boy. Happy retirement, Keiji Muto. Domo Arigato. And Jerry Lawler, we're glad you're getting better. That's it for the chef and Big D. I'm Coach Rob. Happy wrestling, everybody.
Happy wrestling. Care. Like us on Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, all that good stuff. And cue the music. Bye, everybody.